Good evening, and as you can see, I am not Gary Fields, obviously. He is having a few technical issues at the moment. So, that being said, he will be with us at some point. But tonight, it's not about who's hosting, it's about our fantastic guest for this evening. So, tonight's guest, which you'll know who he is, he's been in the field for a very, very long time. He's got a wealth of knowledge and experience. So you haven't come on to listen to me waffle. So I'd like to introduce you, Mr. Phil Measey. Hello.
Hello there. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Oh. Hello.
Oh, look who's
Good
arrived.
evening. Sorry about all the technical issues, but thank you for joining us this evening.
I see he's got the drink though, hasn't he? Look, so
Yeah.
Oh, he has to have a cup of he's a little old man. He has to have his cup of tea.
Yeah, keep it going. Keep it going.
He has to have his cup of tea for the show every time. You can't do a show without a cup of tea.
yeah, you could have got me one, Gary, a tight ass.
Oh.
Oh, no problem on that. I'm pretty good at that. Kaz makes a good brew.
Listen to me, Kaz. I do actually. I make enough for him. Anyway, it's not about me. It's not about you, Gary. It's about Phil. So, for anyone that doesn't know who you are, can you just give us a little bit of a rundown, a little bit about you? And obviously, for the next hour, it's all about you anyway. So, just give yourself a little bit of an introduction.
Yeah, well, I'm Phil Measey. I'm lead investigator with the Ghostfinder Paranormal Society. I've been with the society since its concept in 2006, but I've been interested in the paranormal way before that. I wasn't active in the field at that time, but since joining GPS, it's opened doors for me, and investigated hundreds of locations all over the UK and some in other countries. Been on television quite a bit, but I'm sort of like, I think I'm a bit of an unknown entity, sort of like I'm mainly in the background really. So not that there's not a want of trying, but yeah, that's basically me in a nutshell really.
What touching on, you said you've done a lot of invest UK and abroad. Where have you been abroad?
Went to Ireland, and I did a couple of investigations there. I lived in Israel for a little while. Well, not for a little while, for many years. And I had some experiences and did a few things out there. And then I had the opportunity to go with Barry to go to the Haunted Museum in Vegas, Zach's Haunted Museum.
Oh yeah, of course, you went and did that, didn't you?
Yeah, me and Barry and another investigator called Mark went, and we met Chris there.
Chris, you met Chris as well. Chris Fleming, didn't you?
Yeah. We was meant to meet Zach as well, actually, but he wasn't feeling well on the day, so he said. But we still got free access and went through the crowds of people with VIP treatment and got all the, all that sort of stuff. So that was pretty good. We didn't have to wait in the baking sunshine, even though it was February. It was like 37 degrees in the shade or something. So, but we managed to get in the security people come up, and Barry and Chris rang Zach and they said, yeah, come through, no problem. And we went past everybody and everybody was looking at us, and a few people recognized Chris, a few people recognized Barry, obviously because of Help My House is Haunted, and Chris as well. And Chris has done loads of television anyway.
He's done loads, hasn't he? UK and America.
Yeah. So, and then sort of like we went in and had the official sort of tour literally on our own, which was great. So we had the museum to ourselves for about 2.5, 3 hours.
What?
Yeah, I know. Then. Oh, I know. So no people in high places.
Hi, good evening as well, Phil. How did you find it with any overlapping energies within a museum?
I didn't feel there was any overlap. Each room was pretty unique in itself. I mean, there's some weird things happened in there. I saw something fly out the wall and hit Chris in the eye, which was really in the debuggy room. I got pushed in the back. It is it's definitely a weird museum. I would say to anybody, go just for the experience. If you're prepared to wait in line. Just a heads up, it doesn't open till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, by the way, and closes at 9 o'clock at night. So don't think you can get there, turn up at like 8 o'clock in the morning and think it's going to open at 9, because it doesn't.
Oh, wow.
So yes, we got there around about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I think. So yeah,
I remember you going there.
Amazing. It's an amazing place, definitely. So
as again, the how do you find paranormal investigations changed over the years? What would you say the pros and cons are over the years? Do you feel the pluses and minuses?
I've become a lot more skeptical as I've got older, and I question literally everything now. I never take anything at face value. But when I first started in the field, it was, you hear a bang and you go, it's a ghost. You hear a creak, oh, it's a ghost. I mean, it's teething problems, isn't it? I mean, I think everybody who starts out in the field, first of all, has these grand notions that you're going to see a full body apparition, you're going to experience all these amazing things. But in hindsight, you actually 99% of the time you don't. And to be truthful, you don't. If paranormal investigators are going to be truthful about this, you go to a location with brilliant expectations, and you come away thinking, oh well, that was a bit of a waste of time. Didn't get anything, didn't get an EVP, didn't hear nothing, didn't see nothing. And I think people have to understand that. And I don't think people do. I think people get into the field thinking they're going to be, they're going to see all these amazing things, but I don't think people realize just how hard it is actually. And a lot of the evidence that's out there at the moment, especially with the cult of the orb lovers, I don't even want to go there with that.
The other week when we were at Smethwick, we did have a conversation regarding orbs in
we did, didn't we?
We did.
I just tried to kill it, didn't I? Tried to kill it dead, really. So
I find it is amazing how you do change over time with the investigating side of it. And I always find where you've got a good understanding of a night prior to something going on with your gut intuition. Like, it's like, I think I went to Penny Lan and I felt that the time of year, it was like October, quite close, not to Halloween, but it was around that period. And you just knew if a spirit was going to manifestate, it would have been around that type of location. And I think a lady seen this hand come through the wall and it just pulled back, and that was it. But again, sometimes you get the feeling, when what you've got, that understanding of like, right, it's going to be a really busy night, a really something is special going to happen, and your gut intuition, I don't think puts you too far off the line with that as well. So I think you get a good sensation of the crowd you're around, the people you're around as well, and you're always waiting for that, as you say, one specific thing that might happen once a year, mightn't it? That like just that little shadow and a glimpse coming through a wall and back.
And you've got to remember, a lot of people now are into doing the public events, and admittedly, GPS and Barry, we do quite a lot of public events. Well, not quite a lot, but we do one maybe two each month, and they're hard work. They really are, because you just can't make things happen, and if things are flat, they're flat, and that's just the way it is. I mean, we was at Smethwick Baths. I was quite lucky because we did, in our first vigils, we we what are you laughing at?
Mark,
I got lucky.
I'll show you.
Yeah, I got lucky with a ghost. So we were quite fortunate that we got some really interesting evidence that night, and especially when we was in the pool area and I captured an EVP. You can clearly hear, so everyone was sat down, because I make sure when we're in the pool area, I make everybody sit down and I try to keep people as quiet as possible. You can clearly hear somebody walking behind us.
Yeah.
On the recording, and then you can clearly hear voices over the other side of the swimming pool when you're looking, and where are these voices? And it's 2 or 3 people having a conversation, but it's very sort of like muffled, and it was echoing as well, which was even stranger because it's such a huge place and it echoes, and as you know, if you've been in the pool area.
Yeah.
So and that was very, very strange, and that sort of basically made my night. I know it sounds really strange, and that was the first opening visual.
Well, no,
and
it doesn't sound strange. It's, at the end of the day, it is an experience, and to have that on a public event, and like you said, with the public events, the issue is, and probably even more so with like Barry, because he's known for what he's known for, people will just make the assumption because they're going to go on his event, they're going to get something.
Yeah. I think people go.
They don't realise how many hours goes into the filming and how much time away they spend doing the filming and everything.
Exactly.
You know, it's days and days, it's weeks and weeks and weeks of filming for those short shows. But that's the problem. You know, people don't have so no disrespect, but some of the public don't have that understanding of how many weeks they're away filming for just to get that short 1 hour. 45-minute show each week.
And also I think people go with the expectations of being entertained. And I never want people to come to an event thinking they're actually going to see a ghost. You know, I think a lot of people actually come on these events that are newer to it, not so much the people that go regularly with us. They actually think, oh, I'm paid my money now, where's my ghost? I honestly do think that some people feel that way. And you know what? We were quite lucky at Smethwick because we witnessed the shadow figure on the other side walking past on the seats, and we all saw that, which was like pretty good as well. So but I honestly do think that in all fairness, I actually prefer private cases, and I'm currently working on 2 at the moment. That these cases will run between 12 to 18 months, so we will be returning to the locations over a 12 to 18 month period to assess the activity, do interviews and stuff like that with people that have experience the activity in these locations. Can't give you the names of the locations, of course.
Well, no, of course, because
don't try and ask, because they're private cases, of course.
Yeah, confidentiality and everything. We were discussing yet again. This was something we were discussing the other week when we saw each other, and you were saying to me about the private cases things. What I want to know about last weekend. Sorry, Gary, I will let you get a word in a minute, but I want to know.
Okay. It's usually me, isn't it?
It is. I know. I'm getting in there, Phil. Really, normally,
Gary talks
over me.
So, Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Yeah.
A very quiet town or village or whatever you want to call it, Wincankton. Pretty unassuming pub as you walk in the door. But that all changes when you walk upstairs. The downstairs in the bar area, I didn't feel any kind of strange thing like sometimes you get. But as soon as you go up them stairs to the pool area in the room opposite, the whole place just changes. The whole atmosphere, the whole feeling of, you know, what's going on. It was an interesting night. I would have liked a little bit more activity, but there again, you can't train ghosts to scare on command. But we did get some interesting stuff. we did get the REM pod going off on the stairs, and I do believe that happened with Barry in Help as well.
Yeah, that happened on the show, didn't it?
Yeah, that was interesting because it just was there literally on its own, and we were all in a different room because it was quite a small group of people. We decided to do investigate together, but because the pub's quite small, it's literally impossible to split up into any kind of groups. So there was only 14 people there with a few team members, me, Barry, I think, and a couple of other team members were there. And that was interesting. We got some odd EMF fluctuations, and we had something set up in the middle of the pool table where everybody sat round. It was quite a big room actually, and that was going off. We got some pretty good EVPs as well, which was it was a good night. It was well worth the visit down. So, and the Chinese meal before that.
I'll just recap what Mark was on about there. A lot of people stay away from me in a good way, is because they always try and channel the spirits through them when they're in and around on an investigation. Just touching on there where you've mentioned where you've been to Uncle Tom's cabin and all that, and how many times would you say you've been there? Because again, it doesn't happen all overnight, does it? And then some people now, I feel now, are booking locations 2-3 nights to get some type of a program out of it, or their edited clip, or the YouTube. They're booking like a location for 2 or 3 nights as well, just to try and compact and stretch out of the information that they can get.
I don't know anything about people, teams or groups or whatever they want to call themselves, booking 2 or 3 nights. We was just there for 1 night, and Barry has a brilliant relationship with a landlady. I think her name's Mel, and we only did the 1 night. Plus, it's a pub, so you any heads up to anybody who is interested in investigating, you won't get a Saturday or a Friday night. Just thought I'd let you know, because she won't close that, because it's the most busiest night. You'll get a Sunday, maybe. You maybe get a Sunday night, but you won't get a Friday or Saturday night. And Mel, she knows the situation, and she said she apologized to people, but she can't afford to be closed on her busiest nights.
No, of course not.
We're still in the middle of this pandemic, and she's been closed for months and months months. And she's had a number of teams in there to investigate, so I understand. But we didn't interrogate her or anything about and ask her about the evidence or anything that people captured. So
it's certainly nice to see people get up and running again as well. So, you know, hats off to these places for letting us in there in the first place.
Yeah.
When you mentioned when you went upstairs and the atmosphere changed as well, to me, I just clicked where I went to the Black Swan in York, and that's got that similar type of sensation of like, it changes the eeriness around it of when you go into the bedrooms and the top layers as well in the Black Swan in York. So that just stood out where you mentioned that and touched on that, of like the atmosphere changed and it totally went like much airier and different when you went up there.
Yeah, it was almost like a, how can I put it? It was almost like it took the breath away a little bit. I wasn't expecting it. It's like getting punched in the gut when you're winded sometimes, but not as bad. So it was almost like your throat felt a little bit squeezed. Not that I'm not saying a spirit grabbed me around the throat and squeezed my throat or anything. No, nothing ever like that ever happens, believe me. So not to me anyway. So, but it was like almost like a pressure where I found it quite hard, almost like getting lightheaded, which was a little bit strange. And it sort of hits you literally, it hit me literally as soon as I put the first kind of footsteps on the stairs, that's when it was. And I pushed through it and went up, because I don't travel anywhere for hours and hours to run away. That's one thing I've never done on an investigation. I don't travel 4 hours anywhere to end up running down the road screaming. I'm going to be running to it, because this is what I want to do. I want to see what's making that noise, or what's moving that candle, or whatever, that can or that bottle, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to be running, oh my God, look at that, and run away. What's the point? No point.
I totally agree with you. And I think we're all the same on that scenario, aren't we? Would you say over all the hundreds of places you've investigated, Phil, when you go with all these hundreds of locations, do you find it gets so interesting where someone says, "Oh, we're going to return here," or have you got a favourite place or something that really ticks all the boxes for you? Where would you say that type of location would be? Or have you got a top 5 or a top 3 or that you've really enjoyed?
Well, I would say Hellfire Caves is probably one of my favourite locations. The great thing about Hellfire Caves is it's literally 20 minutes down the road from me, which is great. So, and that's
why you go there so much. Now I know it's because of the travel.
It's traveling time. It's great, isn't it? So yeah. So
took me 4 hours on there on Saturday to get there.
Oh, good luck on that one.
No. Yeah.
So yeah, I love going there because that location never fails to impress. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter any time, day or night. Honestly, I've done investigations during the day down there as well with people, and because it's cave and it's dark, you haven't got to worry about, so it's a great location. Love it. Can't wait to get back there. I think we have a number of bookings there, but that have been cancelled so many times. We're just waiting to rebook again, but I don't think we're going to get round to them until at least next year now. So that's going to be almost 2 years since we've been there. So
it's a long time for you, isn't it? Because obviously you're
it
going there quite often, to be honest.
Yeah, because we are the official GPS of the official team that do the events for their fright nights or whatever they're called, double dares. Yeah, we do that for them, but we haven't done anything for about a year and a half, 18 months now. Mm-hmm. So I think we're just waiting on the clarification on dates. Another location I would say would be
before you move on to your next location, Mandy wants to know, are the caves creepy?
Yeah, they are creepy in their own way. I mean, as in creepy, as in are they like make your skin crawl or bats or stuff like that? Yeah, there's plenty of bats down there. They are creepy.
Don't like that,
but they're creepy. They're creepy during the day and during the night. But because it's dark down there pretty much all the time because it's caves. Yeah, you always get that sense when you're walking down that there's someone following you or someone in front of you. When there isn't, and you stop, and because there's gravel on the ground so you don't slip, and then you stop, and then you can hear someone still walking. And it's like, well, that's not me.
What I found there on Saturday night, Phil, was as if somebody had grabbed me bag as I was walking back up. One of the cameramen had like the tripod just jarred back a little bit as he was carrying it in his hand as we were going back up for a break, and there is that following around experience there as well. And
yeah, definitely got that feeling of someone that seems to follow you, that seems to who's interested. I think it's more than one thing down there, one spirit, entity, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's a strange place.
I would like to return, definitely.
Wow. Get your ass down there. Only take you 4 hours.
Only take you 4 hours, yeah. So going back to your locations then, Phil. So what was next on your list?
I think the Ram is probably one of my next favourite locations.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of strange things as a team happen there, and also with groups. Anybody thinking of booking it, just be advised, don't take more than 15 people.
It's not a very big location, is it?
Not big location. It's spread out, but the problem is it's such a rickety old place. You can literally hear people talking from downstairs to upstairs. So it's a really difficult location to investigate with a lot of people. So I would say a maximum of 15 people, and you only need about 2 or 3 members of the team to do it with you. You don't need any more than that.
what I found out with the ram, I had a very strange experience there. That two spirits were virtually at a bit of a conflict in the attic against each other, and I was virtually, being a medium, I was virtually piggy in the middle at that investigation, and you could get so much going on in between the different parts of the attic, and there was virtually like a conflict in the attic that night, and it was so bizarre.
Funny you should say about the attic. I think there's actually a video on YouTube that I captured on my trap cam, where I set the trap cam up in the corner facing to, where there's the attic splits into two, doesn't it? You've got that little bit of a bedroom, and you've got that sort of like bit that's a bit, like the carpet, and you can't go past. A little bit dangerous.
Yeah, the far bit you can't stand on, can you?
Yeah, well, they've changed that now. It's safe now. You can get in there now, and they've put some chairs and tables. But before that, I just put my trap camera facing up towards that area, where the beams go across and you can't get through. It's on YouTube, and you see a small figure, almost pop up, a shadow pop up, and literally run across almost like a child. It's about the height of a child, and you see it sort of almost appear to the side, the shadow, and then run across the back wall. So that was interesting. But the most terrifying thing I think happened there today, which we didn't capture on audio. We caught it on audio, but we didn't catch it on video. It was literally right at the end of the night. We were all knackered. It was around about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. We thought, you know what, we'll just do one more vigil in the witch's room, or the honeymoon suite, or whatever you want to call it. I think it's called the honeymoon suite, is it? I don't know. It's the one as you go up the stairs, and it's the first door on the right or on the left. It's got the double bed in there. So is it called the witch's room?
I like that room. I enjoy it in that room.
I haven't been there yet.
You haven't been? You're in for a treat.
Oh,
I'm not. Eddie's been. Eddie went. Yeah,
right.
Eddie went with one of the team members a while ago. The two of them went. I don't know how long ago it was now. But I was working that weekend and I couldn't get the time off to go. So I was like, well, just go. So they went without me. And I've just never managed to actually get there. So I will have to go at some point. Okay. I keep saying that, but I will actually have to. It's on the list of places to do. So
I really enjoy it.
Sorry?
I really enjoy it as well. I feel the barn area's changed a little bit, hasn't it, as well? I think the energies have changed in the barn area.
What they've done is they've actually changed the layout of the barn. As now you're at the front is where it used to be at the back, and that's where all the activity was, where we got a lot of the activity. Now, like I said, getting back to what I was saying about that, what happened there, there's two things that happened. That we were doing a team investigation, a team only. This must have been 4 or 5 years ago. It was right at the end of the night. We'd been down in the bar area, and you could just feel that something was building. It was really strange. We got some taps on the window. We thought it was some kids messing around, and we go to look out in the window, and we were quite close to the window there. There was no one out there, and there was some knocks and bangs upstairs, and we thought, should we go up there and find out what's going on? So we thought, okay, we'll just do one more vigil. So we all trot up the stairs, get in there. One of the teams, the big armchair in the corner next to the table, Gary. Yeah, there's an armchair right in that corner, the lamp behind it, isn't there? One of the team members sat there. I stood near the table with Barry just behind me, and then there was several other team members just basically stood around in that room. I put a REM pod outside on the landing. Now, no one knew what you put a REM pod on the landing. So we were just calling out like you usually do, trying to get something to happen. And suddenly you hear the REM pod go beep, beep, and it beeped. Now, I didn't put the temperature on it. I just put it on 3MF, and it started to beep. So Barry said, "What the F's that beeping noise. As though I put a REM pod on the stairs. And he went, oh, right. So he opened the door and he stood away from the door and you can just see the REM pod going off. And I went, that's a bit weird. I said, shut the door. So we shut the door and we stood away from the door and I had my back to the door. Barry was facing me with his face in the door. There was a girl sat in that chair. A couple of other people sat and stood around. The REM pod was beeping, getting stronger and stronger and stronger, going off. And then all of a sudden, there was the huge bang on the door. Right? I absolutely, we all shit ourselves. Right? I've got it on audio somewhere on my old laptop somewhere. No, seriously, it felt like someone got a hammer and hit that door so hard. No one was near the door. Okay, it shook the door, right, and then as that happened, it felt like I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it now because it shit the life out of me. Something seemed to come through the door, but not so the door was still closed. It was almost like a whirlwind because you felt it go past you.
Yeah.
Okay, so it went past me, didn't touch me. It felt like you got a fan, you put it on someone's face, right? But it was like a rush of air then. Okay,
yeah.
It came through that door, went around me. The girl that was sat in the chair, right? And I'm not bullshitting you. This is the absolute truth. And I would not say if it wasn't. The chair that she was sat on, Gary, if you know that chair, it's quite a heavy chair, isn't it? The chair lifted up and threw her onto the table.
What?
Yeah, I'm not bullshitting you. It's the truth, right? And then it went around, and there was a lad called Ashley on our team. He was stood. It literally threw him onto the bed. It went around us. It went round me, and it went past me, threw the girl out of the chair onto the table, and then went round everywhere else. You could feel the rush of air, and then it threw on the table, on the bed, and then it went dead.
I can relate to that type of energy there because I was with the gentleman, and he must be 6.5 foot, and the same energy where the rooms are with the 3 beds in. Yeah, it just gushed right through and walked right through him, and he said, "I've never had an experience like that." He was off within half an hour.
That was the witch's room. It faces out onto the courtyard. The room I'm talking about is the bishop's room, I think, where the 3 beds are. And now there's only 2. But that's the first one as you go up the stairs. So, and then it was like nothing happened. Of course, we was all effing and jeffing and screaming and shitting ourselves and stuff like that, but we didn't run away. But it was like it was all over in a matter of seconds, but it was so fast. It was like someone running around the room, like an invisible person running around and chucking, doing something. It was absolutely mad. And we got it on audio, but we obviously, if we'd have recorded it, it was just the girl in the chair said, "Oh fuck," you know what I mean? And she flew out of the chair, and the chair sort of like lifted up, and it was lifted up from behind. So it tipped up because she was sat back in the chair, quite comfortable. I think she was half dozing, to be honest, because it was so late at night. So I can't explain it. Never have been able to explain that experience.
But that gust of energy going round and the swirl of it, that seemed to have come in, I remember, by the fireplace last time. Went right through the gentleman and virtually went nose to nose with his wife, who's a medium. And it virtually went nose to nose. Now, after he'd had an experience, if he gets an A-rate EVP, he'll be off because he'll go, nothing else is going to add up to that. So when he gets like an A-rated situation or an experience, that's it for him for the night. But he was shook up when that happened. And he said, "I'm getting off because I've never experienced anything like that at the ramp."
Yeah, it was, it shook me for a while. It was right at the end of the night. We had to leave by 3 o'clock anyway because you've got to be out by 3. But yeah, I still to this day, and Barry will confirm that. If you ever get Barry on here and you have a chat with Barry, he will confirm it as well. Basically, what I said. And there's a few other team members that are no longer with us now, obviously. But yeah, talk to Barry about it. It was pretty horrific. Sort of made me put into perspective that there's shit out there you can't explain. So, you know. So
yeah, Barry's going to come on for a chat at some point, but obviously, as you and I both know, he's got a lot of filming and stuff. So he's
away filming all next week, I think, as well.
Yeah.
So, and he's got his anniversary today, I think. So.
Yeah, and 20 years him and Lou today.
Yeah, I think so.
The woman deserves a medal.
Yeah, she does. She's more than a medal.
Well, yeah, she needs more than that. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Bless
Yeah.
her.
And well, I've known me and Barry are best mates. We've been best mates for since forever, since like 18 years now or something. Since I joined GPS. So
As you touched on, Phil, at the start of the introduction for yourself and all that, tell us a little bit more about Ireland and where you went round Ireland investigating.
I want to do Ireland.
I only investigated one place in Ireland, and that was the old police station in Belfast. And I did that with a friend called Garry as well. So, Ghost Searchers of Ireland. That was a pretty good location. Yeah, very strange. We had more interesting activity during the day, actually. An old telephone starts ringing.
Huh?
Wow.
Somewhere in the building. There's no power, no nothing, but you could hear this telephone ringing. It could have been someone outside or something like that, but that was really strange. So,
that's an odd one. Is there anywhere you haven't done yet that you want to do? Because everyone's got a bucket list.
Pretty much everywhere in America. Is there anywhere I'd like to go? It's a difficult one. There's so many places in the UK, and I've done so many.
Have you been up in Scotland? Where have you been up in Scotland and done up Scotland?
I haven't done anywhere in Scotland. Done a few places in Wales. Most of them were private cases. I haven't really done anywhere in Scotland. I mean, everyone raves about the Edinburgh Vaults.
Yeah, we're going there next year.
I don't know if it's a bit of a one. You get your expectations of going and nothing happens. You know what I mean? So, but it's such a killer of a journey, though. I mean, you've got to take a whole weekend to go, haven't you? Really, if you think about it. So it's not like just drive up there on a Saturday afternoon. It's like 9-hour drive, isn't it? So it's not a pop. And the thing is, you have it from like midnight till 6 a.m. That's the higher time. So yeah, you want to be. You only
there
get 6 hours down there.
Yeah, you get 12 till 6.
Right. Okay.
Midnight till 6 a.m.
And you certainly start flagging off about 4 o'clock in the morning, don't you? So it is a tough times to invest, isn't it? Like when you get past 3, 4, 5 in the morning.
It's a sort of place where you'd have to travel up on a Saturday, wouldn't you? Stay in a hotel overnight, and then obviously either fly home or. But the nearest airport to me is Luton, so but I don't know.
I've only got Birmingham up there. I'm only 10 minutes away.
Oh, right. Okay.
I'm all right. Rachel wants to know, is there anywhere you wouldn't investigate again?
No, absolutely not. I don't believe that. I would go back to anywhere. So I don't have a problem investigating any location more than once. Because if obviously something happens, okay, and then you don't get the answers that you want, or you feel like you've almost you've missed out, then why not go again? I don't think I've been that, even though what happened at the Ram, I'm back there on December 3rd with Barry. No, there isn't there isn't any place I wouldn't be. I mean, people go, oh, the most haunted place in America or the most haunted place in England. You wouldn't last a night there. Want to bet? I lay down the gauntlet of any place that thinks I'll be scared enough, not scared enough to stay there the whole night. I'd do it. As long as you're paying for my fare and for me to stay there and a Chinese meal. I
knew there was going to be a catch.
No, but what I'm saying is people say, oh, you'll be too scared to stay in this place on your own, or you would be too scared to investigate it because so many things happen. I accept that challenge, to be honest. I would do it.
The other thing is, sorry, Gary. The other thing is as well, like you said about going back to a location. If you don't, say you went somewhere and you absolutely got diddly squat, that's just on that night. That doesn't mean to say when you go on another time that you're not going to get something. Or you can go one night and it'd be really active and go back and it isn't. It's the luck of the draw.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people.
No guarantees.
A lot of people say this about the Grey Street. Oh, it's all made up. It's all BS. It's all, this and that. And I mean, I spent 2 nights there. Okay. One, we did a public investigation, and then I helped Barry with another team member to do a live. Yeah. And you know what? There's something wrong with that place, I tell you. It's not good. Yeah. The guy's brought so much stuff into that house from so many different places. I mean, he's got these horrific dolls everywhere.
That's it. You said dolls. That's it. That's me. I'm out.
It's just he's got a lot of antiques and stuff in there, and I work in the antiques trade.
You've got your shop, haven't you? In Stratford?
Yeah, I've got my little shop in little antique centre in Stratford and Avon. I sell.
That's it, Phil. Give us a shout out about your little shop. Tell people about your shop, where they can find you, what you do.
Sadly, I'm closing at the end of October, beginning of November.
No.
Not out of because I want to. It's just because other commitments. So the shop I'm gonna. So I'm sort of giving it up, but I've always got the option to go back. But you see that place is haunted. That's some weird things happening there. But the people that run it are not interested in anything like that. I tried to get in there. They don't want investigations in there.
There's a lot of places like that in Stratford, and a lot of the business owners and shop owners don't want people like us in, which is fair enough at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I remember
I don't scare the customers away, just in case they do have something strange happen, which is understandable. I completely understand them, so I don't have a problem with that. So
I remember a few years ago, Phil, where I used to help my friend. They used to have a memorabilia shop in Chester in the Rose, and this was prior to doing all this. You're looking at about 15 years ago, and
15 years ago.
15 years ago.
He did say 15 really.
And when we was just in the shop floor down below, you could feel somebody on the stairs all the time watching. And if you went upstairs, you could feel that they were following you as well. But Chester's an amazing place as well. But some of these shops, as you say, some of the owners don't want to know, or the landlords or whoever. But there is some amazing places where there's a lot of history around these locations of shops and these towns and cities as well that we've not even touched on yet.
No. I think there's a lot of people out there that also, even to today, there's still a stigma attached to the paranormal field. It's still one of those things where people don't say anything because someone's going to think, I take quite a few calls on. We've got a helpline on the GPS page, and 99.9% of the time, if someone rings and I answer, they're going to say, "You think I'm crazy?" Okay, I hear it all the time. It's the first, pretty much, I can guarantee when someone says, "I said, tell me about what's going on, what's happening, what's your experiences?" "Oh, you think I'm crazy?" And I try to say to these people, "You're not crazy, and you're not alone." It's what people got to realise. Anybody that's watching this feed tonight and who hasn't watched it before, and you are experiencing something, you're not alone, because hundreds and thousands of people are also experiencing similar or the same things, or some kind of activity that you physically or mentally can't explain. And these people shouldn't be stigmatized into believing that they're a crackpot, they're a nut, you know what I mean? Because you're not. I mean, I grew up in a haunted house. The things I experienced there would make the Enfield haunting look like a ice cream shop, a sweet shop, seriously. So you're not alone, and that's how I got into it. So just reach out to people.
Yeah, most definitely as well, because it always comes about like the private cases or the somebody that's really struggling and going through a period of whatever's going on in their life. And the hard part is actually reaching out for somebody, but there is people there, because I think on Sunday I've got not a house clearance to do, but I've got to go to Nottingham to have a look at a public house that's having a lot of trouble, and obviously I don't know any more information than that, and usually I would do that from distance and link in from a distance and try and balance and cleanse it from a distance. So, you know, sometimes we are going in every nook of the cranny to try and find out every part of the UK of who needs help. We will try and get to the bottom of stuff to help people and support people, and a lot of people don't understand that, how much we do try and help and support out there as well. I
think now the nature of people investigating, especially people that have been in the field for a long time, like me, I've been nearly 20 years now. When you first start out in the field, you're gun-ho. Every little thing that comes from an email or a phone call, you want to go and investigate because you think it's a ghost. You don't even think about asking the most simplest of questions. I'm not talking about now. I'm talking 20 years ago, when it wasn't the trendy thing to do at the weekend. Paranormal investigating now is a trendy thing for people to do. They watch a couple of television shows. Certain people do think, "Oh, I can do this."
It's a hobby, isn't it? It's a hobby for a lot of people now.
Yeah, it's a hobby, and I get it. People want to do it as a hobby. That's fine. But when you're doing private cases, it's a whole different situation.
Yeah,
you want to book out a place and let people come, you know, and you want to do public events and you want to make some money out of it, and you know, you charge your ticket prices and people come and they have a great time. You get some activity, you know, that's brilliant. But when it comes to people's lives, and it's, you know, I get a lot of contacts through when we do public events. It's serious. This is a serious thing for people, and I don't think some people actually understand that. I'm not saying that everyone's all the same. I'm not painting the brush that, you know, people don't understand. But now, when I get someone ring me up, or I get someone email me, or Barry passes a case on to me, or one of the other team members says about this, it's all about TLC. It's caring for that person and understanding them now.
Yeah.
It's not about just going and setting up your camera and your K2 and walking around and going, "Oh, I've got some EMF," or "Oh, I heard a door creak," and stuff like that. The days of paranormal investigating, especially for GPS, and I hope for me, well, but specifically for me as well, and all the rest of the team, it's not like that anymore. The client is, or the person, or whatever you want to call them, is the priority now. The actual investigating and the interviews sort of comes in second, third place, if you know what I mean. It's a little bit distant down the line. You need to understand that person. You also need to know if they've got any mental health issues, you know, if they've got depression, they have any kind of medical issues that might be causing these things. These are always sort of things you've got to explore before you even consider that the case is paranormal. If you get an amazing piece of footage along with some photographs and some EVPs and stuff like that and video footage, then that changes the whole ball game. But you still need to go through that process of elimination first. And I think that why I enjoy private cases more. So,
we've had someone ask a question. Sorry to interrupt. Paul wants to know what your shop's called.
It's called Slightly Unusual Gifts, which is a bit random.
Slightly Unusual Gifts.
But it's
$10
in
in there for you.
It's in the antique centre. So if you go to Stratford, I'm only ever there on a Monday, by the way. I'm not there this Monday because it's bank holiday, but I'm there on a Monday all day. So anybody who's listening who fancies popping up between now and the end towards Halloween, I'll be there every Monday. You can come and have a chat, buy something off me. Might give you a discount if I like you. So.
Also, as well, Phil, where you touched on where you go to the house clearances and the private locations and that, and again, we're breaking the layers down. And I always say at the moment we are more like a paranormal detective of trying to work out everything, aren't we, as well? And a lot of people don't understand.
I think that's a good analogy, actually, Gary, being like a paranormal detective, because the amount of questions you need to ask before you even consider.
Because the personal side of it as well, the personalization of it, where a lot of people, unbeknown with outside the paranormal world, don't realize that an energy or an entity or a shapeshifter or anything can play a lot of mind games with people to feel like it's winning and putting their energy and entity over them and playing their mind games with them psychologically as well, so that you can be a lot of a breakdown to actually go, hang on, spirit, energy, what are you actually doing here? And you've got to be firm sometimes to get to the bottom of it, to like drive an energy out or balance and cleanse the place as well. So sometimes you've got to be a little bit forceful in a way of respecting the person that's living in there, but then again, you've got to put your thumb down or your foot down with the spirit and energy, that entities that's playing up there as well.
Surprisingly enough, you say that. I've done many private cases and very few people have actually asked for their spirits to be got rid of. I know that sounds really strange, but I think
they just want to get to the bottom of the story, Phil, don't they? They want to get what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. They just want to understand why they're there.
Yeah.
And there could be a million reasons why they're there. One of the top reasons, they were there before you even existed. They lived in the house before you. They lived on the land before you. You've brought something home from your holiday or from some random charity shop or from an antique store you brought into your house. Could be anything. Could be a ring, could be a picture, could be a book, could be a piece of jewelry, anything. Could be a little jewelry box. It doesn't matter what it is. And that's just a few of the reasons why something might be happening. It could be you've brought it back from somewhere when you went somewhere and it's attached to you. And then it might stay for a while, but then it's compelled to go back to where it is. So I don't believe that spirits can suddenly think. It's like when you're the ram, okay, people say this attachment. Yes, the attachment can be with you for a while, but the reason why it's there is because it has to return. So I don't believe a spirit or ghost or demon or whatever you want to call it can attach themselves to someone and stay with someone. Well, maybe demons possibly, but spirits not. But I think they're compelled to go back. They don't get bored and think, oh, I'm bored of the ram. I think I'll go and haunt a different house. That's just my perspective on it.
No, I know. It's just
when it becomes
what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm bored of the ram. I think that person looks all right. I'll jump on him and go and live in his house for 60 years. You know what I mean? It doesn't work like that, I don't think. I mean, when it's an evil entity, possibly whatever you perceive to be a demon, okay, or an imp or whatever you want to call them, something that's not, I don't know, of this earth, that's evil or whatever you want to call it, that might be a completely different thing altogether. I'm not an expert on that demonology or anything like that. So, but
over the years and all that, could you give us a scenario about like a breathtaking stop moment that's gone on, that you've gone, have I just heard that? Have I just seen that? Have I just sensed that? And what's a funny outtake that you've seen, that the funniest thing that you've happened on a location, like from one end to the other of the scale?
you know, the fun, or to go with the funniest thing first, you know, when if it's a team only, okay, what stays with a team, you know, that scenario. So, you know, when you go to a location, you're both in teams and you're all quiet in the team and you start doing it. It's like, right, everyone be quiet. This is EVP session number 1. We're in the dining room. And then you have that then you hear a and it was like everyone looks and goes, "Who's that? Weren't me. It must have been a ghost fart." You know what I mean? And then you all erupt laughing or something like that. Or sometimes it's just one of those things. I mean, one of the breathtaking moment things was the thing that happened at the Ram with the table and the thing flying round. And then there was another incident there when I was in the barn, when the barn was the old way round. And I had a small group of about 6 people, and we were facing the doorway of the barn. And all the rest of the team and the groups were upstairs because we only had 2 teams. Like I said, it was only a small. And then suddenly a light shone on the doorway of the barn. You know, because, Gary, you've been there. The barn's got an open sort of box, isn't it? Almost like a box. Yeah. And there's like about, 30, 40, 50 mil gap, sort of the size of the wall is quite thick because it's an old place. And there was a light shone on the outside of the wall sort of thing, the entrance bit. And it sort of went up the wall. And it was really strange. It was also like someone had a torch or like a lantern, because it was quite bright. And I sort of called out and said, "Oh, is anybody downstairs?" And there was nothing. And the light was still there. And it travelled up the wall. And then it stopped. But then it started to go down the wall, which was really weird. And then as it went down, it got darker. And it went down, it got dark. But it was so dark, you could actually see it. So it was a different shade of dark, if you know what I mean. It was darker than, because the lights are already off. And it travelled down the wall. And then it moved into the centre of the doorway. You could see it clearly, and everyone was looking at it. And then it sort of like went up and formed into something, almost like a shape. And then it sort of like, it got to a certain point, then it dropped down, like, you know, when you drop something on the floor, it splats everywhere, like a jelly or something. That's all I can suggest, all I can say what it was. And it went like that, which it just didn't make any noise. And everybody in my group were just like, "Did you see that? Yeah. Did you see that? Yeah. Did you see that? Yeah." It was like 6 people. So that was one of those moments. And that was at the Ram. Very strange.
I think as well, we're talking about the Ram at the minute and that, and, you know, I can't wait to return there again. The actual hub, the front room there, you know, I've had some amazing stuff in the front room as well, with automatic writing, with a bit of trance work and stuff like that. And also, but we've had stuff moving of, like, you know, John's old coats and stuff like that. We've actually had,
I've heard that John's old coats have moved, yeah.
Yeah, and the coats moving, and also when you just step into the next room, I've virtually had the crow that's hanging up. I know there might be a draft or 2 there in the Ram Inn, but it was a still night. I was there on the summer solstice prior to the lockdown, and it was just, this bird's just everywhere. It was moving. It was just following me, and I was like, okay, that's a bit.
Hey, Gary, don't knock it. It's a bird, mate.
No.
It's the only one that's going to be following in.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. You're out of order, Fry.
Oh, that's got to
That's below
Would
the
you
belt.
expect anything less? Come on.
No.
Welcome to my world. It's all right. It's fine.
Yeah. So, but again, yeah, you've got to. My saying is, people get out there and experience these places as well. You know, because every different thing, sensation happens for everybody else. What you get in one room, somebody else will get a different sensation in another room.
let's face it, being a paranormal investigator can be quite expensive.
Yes.
Pastime. But to be honest, anybody who's out there who's listening to this, who's interested in getting into the paranormal field, please do your research first. Okay. Don't for a start go out and buy all this really expensive equipment, because you don't actually need a lot of expensive equipment. All you need is a torch, a cheap voice recorder, right, and a cheap camcorder. Don't need anything.
And I would add to that. I'd say notepad as well.
Yeah, notepad and pen. Yeah.
Well, as you say, it's not cheaper thing to be into. I think I used about £80 worth of fuel this weekend.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean.
Because you'll travel anywhere, Gary. That's because the thing is, Phil, right? He went to an event on Friday, nowhere near home. He then went to another event, completely different location, nowhere near home, again on Saturday. But in between, he went home Friday after location, and then obviously had to drive home again, then drove off to this other location on Saturday, and then drove home again Sunday. So he's only got himself to blame. But yes, with our Gary, he'll go blooming anywhere if you let him.
Yeah,
literally.
And it's always nice.
Have you been to Rowan?
Ooh, not heard that one.
Well, it's called Ruffham. Ruffham Airport.
Oh, Ruffham.
Have you been
there, haven't you?
Ruffham Jail.
No, Ruffham.
No, the airfield.
The airfield.
No, I've been to another few RAF bases.
Ruffham's good.
I was actually on the live when somebody was doing a live a few weeks back, and I picked up on the gentleman that would be on the streets calling all people in from where the air raids were started, and the person walked in the other room, and then that like mosaic was there, the hat and the coat and everything. I could virtually feel the energy of this spirit just shouting at me through the live. So sometimes you pick up on that as well. But I've been involved where I was on the live, just having a little chat of what I was picking up on. But that is very interesting as well.
Yeah, Ruffham's a really good place. I like Ruffham. It's a bit of a trek, but it's worth it. So
I'm a bit drawn to sometimes as well of trying a few of the UFO places that's supposedly known around the UK, like there's the Norfolk base and stuff like that. So sometimes it'd be nice to get out in the open and have a little different place than a location.
I always find the problem is with open locations like woods and fields and stone circles. Yeah. It's so difficult to get any realistic evidence because of environmental factors.
Noise pollution and sort of natural
noise pollution. If in the middle of a field and you've got a voice saying, "I'm going to eat your face off and kill you," then fair enough, you know what I mean. But that's very unlikely going to happen. You know,
there is that. But so where can anybody find you, Phil?
I use Instagram.
Events. What events have you got coming up where people can come along and join you?
Events. We're at the Galleries of Justice, 25th September. That's a Barry Guy event. Oh, you caught me now. Hold on. Let me have a quick look for you.
I'm quizzing you now because I've seen 2 today. That's why.
Yes.
4th of December was the Ram-In you mentioned.
3rd of December.
Sorry. 3rd.
Let me have a quick look.
That's not a bad memory for me, that, actually, to be honest with you.
I know you don't even remember when you're supposed to be working with us, let alone anybody else's.
This is in conjunction with Barry, with the GPS Ghostfinder Paranormal Society. So 25th of September, we've got Galleries of Justice. Well, Barry's got the Galleries of Justice. Oh, we've got a Halloween special, which is sadly sold out at the True Crime Museum, and that's in Hastings.
Yeah, that's the one I saw. Is that sold out now?
Yeah, that's sold out. That's a great location. That is very small. You only need about 15 people, but it's a great location. Got the Bull Inn. and I think that's 30th of October, the Bull Inn. Not sure if there's any tickets available for that. Sold out at the Ram. Oh, we got Kelverton Bunker next year. That's in May. Friday, May 4th. And then we've sadly sold out for the East Street Drive.
Yeah, that's sold out pretty quick, didn't it? Dee wants to know, are you coming tomorrow, Phil?
Coming tomorrow where?
I don't know. She just said, are you coming tomorrow, Phil?
This was, someone asked me, didn't they, on probably not, no. Work's been absolutely mental lately. So I don't know when I'm going to finish work tomorrow. I usually finish at 1 o'clock. But because I work as a caretaker at a creepy old school, which some weird, creepy things have happened lately. I can tell you about that if you want me to, what happened. I can't tell you the name of the school, but it's something really creepy, weird happened. I probably won't be coming tomorrow, no, due to the fact that if I finish work quite late, I need to make sure that I'm here for my wife because she suffers from chronic fatigue syndrome. So I've got to make sure that she's going to be okay. So probably not. So sorry. I apologise.
That means you just have to go to another event, Dee, obviously, to go and see him if he's not there tomorrow. So you just have to book another one. What are you going to do? You're just going to have to book another.
Yeah, you have to come and see me at another place, sadly. You poor people.
Yeah, you just have to book another event, aren't you, really? Sorry, Dee, but, that's just what you're going to have to do. I'm sure you're really disappointed you'd have to book another one. Not. I see him all the time, she said.
Well, a bit like ghosts then, yeah?
Yeah. I see dead people.
Yeah. When do you see them? All the time.
Yeah.
That is true, pretty much. Quite a lot of the time, quite often.
Of all the years I've ever been doing it, I've only ever seen 2 full-bodied apparitions in 20 years.
Crazy, isn't it? Well, guys, we are literally already over time, which means, Phil, thank you for your time.
You're very welcome.
Obviously, you've still got a lot to talk about. Like I said, a wealth of knowledge and experiences to discuss and to talk about. So you know what that means, don't you? You're just gonna have to come back.
I'll have to come back, yeah.
What are you going to do? You're going to have to. Dee's going to have to come on go on another event and book another ticket for somewhere else. You're going to have to come back on the show on another occasion
and bore people with my wealth of knowledge. So
you just have to come back, yeah, obviously. And also, you we haven't actually announced it yet, but you are going to come and do a talk for Festival of the Explained at the Alcester.
It's not far from me. It's only about an hour's drive for me.
June. Yeah, I'm now testing myself now. June 5th next year.
I thought it was July 5th.
No, I think it's June. Don't question me. I don't know. No, because you put me just because I put you on you getting this is payback because I put you on the
No,
spot.
it's not, but I just recalled maybe it passed something about July. So you might be right.
It might be the 5th of July.
That means I've got to do a lot of work for that, then I come and do a little talk.
Because you're going to come and do a talk, come and do an hour's talk for us. And
I'm only charging £45 an hour. So.
Talk about orbs.
No. Orbs
all the orbs that you've caught over the years.
Yeah, right. Don't even go. We're not even going to go there on that subject. Well, we will next time. Next time I come on, we'll have a constructive conversation argument with all the orb lover cult people.
Okay.
I'm going to get in so much trouble, ain't I? Fighting people.
On that note,
I call them the cult of the orb lovers because they are.
I'm going to say thank you. Thanks for having me tonight, Garry, to gate crashing your show. Thank you for joining us. Very kind of
Great to be
you.
on.
And like I said, GPS, you can find Phil there. Go and visit him at his shop before it closes. Go and get yourself a bargain. If you're lucky, you might get one. If he likes you, so be very nice to him.
No, I usually give 10% off.
So go and visit him at his shop. Go and join him on an event with GPS. And also come back here and we will get another date in the diary. And I will let these two gentlemen have a chat without me interrupting every 5 minutes on a future show.
Sounds like a plan, doesn't it, Gary?
Can I have that in writing?
No.
Okay.
Can you write that in a confirmation email to me?
Definitely not. No.
Oh,
Nothing in
okay.
writing. Not alive. What more do you want? Come on. Anyway,
Right.
Fieldsy, he's moaning up there, look. But who was the one that didn't have a camera earlier? So, you know.
Well,
Yeah,
you know,
Gary, you're about as technical as a bucket then, that's all I can say. You're meant to be a paranormal investigator, for crying out loud. Come on.
Yeah, a bucket.
If I can work a laptop, mate, you can. Come on.
I've had no camera on the laptop, which is brand new laptop, really. It's only about 3 months old, but
take it
I
back.
don't know what's gone on there. I don't know what's gone on there. My iPad wouldn't have it.
It's you. That's what's happened, Fieldsy.
I most probably end up balancing and cleansing the house now.
What happened to it? But anyway,
yeah,
we can do all of this once we've gone off air because we're waffling.
We are.
So thank you, Phil. Thank you, Gary, and
thanks for having me on.
Thank you to the public. Great. You're very welcome. And good night from me. Good night from
Take it easy,
Fieldsy.
Stay safe.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody.